Welcome back, punters, and I'm here with Nine. Am I getting that right?
That's right.
That's a great handle. I love a good handle in this industry. Nine's just finished presenting on a huge range of different things around innovation, transformative leadership, and where the security industry needs to go as a whole, and also bringing it together rather than having A cells and D cells, which is a huge part of your presentation. And I really liked that concept of accelerating the industry forward, which was really positive. Mate, what are your thoughts on this year's location and the venue itself? How have you found it?
I really like being here. I mean, who doesn't like Disney World? I'm a huge fan of Disney.
Yeah.
I've hit just about every of their theme parks except for Japan, which I'll do this summer.
Yes, sir. Nice.
So it's great to be back.
Super fan right here for Disney.
Well, who's not, right?
Yeah, sure.
If not, something's wrong with you. You should
Yeah,
be on
I agree.
like an inappropriate pursuer list or something. So it's great to be here. People that are here are top-notch professionals, and it's humbling to be a part of that.
What key insights or takeaways do you think people will bring away from this conference?
So for sure this conference, much of the thrust of this conference is talking about standards in industry, right?
Yes, sir, yeah.
And to me, it's a no-brainer, right? Standards have applied to everything where, human safety, life safety is in the balance. Everything from like heart transplants to life safety on airlines and such, right? So there's no reason that there shouldn't be standards in the protective realm.
We're in the business of safety and trust, right? So why wouldn't we have a standard?
In the presentation here, it's more like not me talking, but hopefully sparking a group conversation about these things. Is the idea is that you establish standards so that you can in turn innovate, right?
Yes. Yep.
You lock in place like what is the 101 material so that you can progress to like 201.
You talk about the necessity for standards. You quoted a former COO saying that with standards you enable innovation. What do you think are some of the maybe fallout positive consequences for us of having a standard?
I think that society is just moving so rapidly with AI, fusion, quantum computing, and all these other things that our industry is going to be dragged in that direction. So we have a small window in time where it's very good in turn where we can lock in standards and things like that. And then the industry at large, meaning not security, but other industries, will force us to innovate. It will be a forcing function. So I think it's very advantageous. It's worked on in the near term, finalized in the near term, and becomes a standard that we push forward from.
What are some of the things that you think are going to contribute to the industry in a positive from that standard then?
During the talk, we talked a little bit about Elon Musk, where he said, hey, just focus on innovation, focus on that in your lane. He didn't compete with NASA and these kind of things. He tried to lead through doing. I would say, in conjunction with my company, that's exactly what you'll see. The mission of my company is to protect game changers and the breakthroughs. If anything, I hope that sprinkle of that dust will maybe impact the conversations that take place in our industry.
I think you hit a note within the room today. I think there are a lot of really engaged, interested people, especially when you're talking about people we're looking at protecting is starting to change to these new risk takers. It's a new class of protectee almost that's coming through.
And then they expect us to innovate ourselves.
How do you apply the first principles approach to your practices?
So a good example about that is it's unthinking how things were traditionally done, right? Say for example in the protective field, for many years combustion vehicles were the rage. Black, heavy Chevy Suburbans and all these other things. But nowadays with electric vehicles, for example, although they're very polarizing for some, the data shows they're like 10x more safe with a lot of automated safety features.
Of course.
Why wouldn't those be like commonplace in the protective industry? It's a good examples of first principle thinking, right? Like, what's the objective there is to safely transport a client. Transportation is one of the most dangerous things you can actually do with a client, so why not implement something that just quite easily and simply changes that?
I love that first principles approach to it. I think we need more of it. What is the hardest single lesson or battle that you've had to face in that really aggressive, you use the example of Tony Robbins' life cycle of business, and you said being a toddler in a teenage industry. What's one of those like rambunctious teenage issues you've had to deal with?
In an industry like that, they're pushing the boundaries of innovation, not only in like one-dimensional areas, but across the enterprise, they're doing that, right? So you have to have a lot of humility as a security professional, right? To step in the room with, say, an engineer who's working on like cutting-edge satellite manufacturing that has some implications associated with maybe transport, launch operations, and you have to have humility. One of my favorite cherished memories is working with some engineers at SpaceX and saying, hey, can you carve out like 15 minutes of time after work today to whiteboard something for me, to fill in the gaps on where I understand. To me, one of the critical keys in going forward into this new era of like innovation is what I would call white belt mentality, where you know everything. You got to kind of revert.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's critically important.
Taking yourself back to being in the valley of despair as opposed to being forced into it by others. It's like realizing you need to go back to not knowing anything, so you stay curious.
In the presentation, I ended with one of the navigational points, and just learn like your life depends on it. That is a new paradigm that's increasingly critical.
You spoke about transformative and incremental change. Can you tell us what differentiates transformative from incremental and why it's necessary?
Incremental change, a good example of that is your iPhone, right? Every year now it's getting quite boring. Release, that's just a simple color upgrade, or a button that's moved from here to there. That's incremental change. Transformative change, much like the example in the presentation, is taxis. It's quickly going away, replaced by Lyft, Uber, rideshare services. To those almost on the cusp of being replaced themselves by fully autonomous vehicle. That is transformative change, where it does not look like what it did in the beginning. And I would say much of what we do in the security space, and I'm pretty sure like most of us would all agree, is incremental change. And that will get you nowhere.
Well, mate, amazing presentation today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure, mate. Have a great day.
Cool, thanks.
Cheers.